to have a loyal customer base, that is going to help you so much, and that is going to make your product, tenfold stronger if you are able to, make that.
The
And
big issue I think a lot of people face in of that is usually that they get shy of just pulling the trigger and testing things.
in 2024, they have launched so many updates. Like it at one point, I was so tired that I was like, okay, I'm not gonna look at it. I'm just gonna go
It was
do.
great for small business. I think it really was. And I think tons of small business, because user-generated content is such a
Yeah,
powerful thing in the e-commerce
the
space.
thought process on launching a product on Amazon, or starting
Many
Amazon.
people in e-commerce are afraid to deem their product as a failure. And so then they will just waste so much time.
The product, if it's required by consumer, or if people are searching for it on Amazon, they are searching for a product that's
First advice always, speak to pain. Your conversations, your first conversation with any form of prospect whatsoever should be based around
they have changed it a bit. Let me. Hi Noah, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great as well. So how's it going?
It is going quite well. It's a Monday. Can never get past a Monday. It's always busy, but glad to be here
Yeah,
today.
yeah. Yeah, Mondays are always busy. So, what's your strategy for Monday? That let's start with this question. Like, how do you handle your Mondays?
Ooh, that's actually a really good question. So my Monday I handle very similar to pretty much any other day of the week, right? So a big thing that I have always pushed for everyone is you get the most amount of things done in your first half of the day, always. And so with that, I like to try and keep usually the first hour and a half of my day every single day completely just to my top priority tasks. I use this as what I call to be now my triage time, and that essentially means I set up my schedule for both the day, check out what meetings I have, figure out what I need to accomplish from the prior day if there's anything important, as well as set up everything throughout the day that needs to be done before the end of the day that I end up clocking out. So I'm a big person on that every single day, but Monday especially depends on the week, right? But by and
Yeah.
large, my Mondays are going to be very centered around my team, what they're doing, what I'm doing, and making sure everyone is on the same pace for the entirety of the week.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. So the way I handle my Mondays is that I start like I look at task on Sunday night, or even late Sunday, or very early Monday, like 1 a.m. 2 a.m. And then I try to get as many tasks done in the night, so that when I wake up I'm a bit more relaxed, and I don't have much. But yeah, usually the meetings, you have to obviously take them on the go. So yeah, that's important. But other than that, that's the only way that I've figured out that you will have less pressure on a Monday is by doing things on a Sunday, which means that your fun time on Sunday is half. So but yeah, that's I try to handle these things. So Noah, tell me, like, you started as a brand director at My Amazon Guy, right?
I did. I did. I started as brand director. I am now our executive team as our sales director.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I lead our entire sales department.
Awesome.
This point in time. So yeah, my background is kind of varied. I never really thought of myself much as a sales guy. In fact, the first thing that I had told our founder Stephen Pope when he initially started talking to me about
Yeah.
sales was that I actually hate sales.
Yeah.
And I am probably one of the biggest sales hater out there, and I think that still reigns true to this day. Not because I think sales is bad in any way, shape, or form. Sales is a much needed part of the business
Yeah,
process
yeah.
for any business, right? You always have to have sales, same way you always have to have marketing, same way you always have to have operations. All those things need to happen for a business to operate effectively. I never would doubt that, but I've always been the biggest sales hater because I hated the idea of selling. And what I have come to realize, being in my position now and being able to work with team the way that I do, is that sales itself doesn't suck. There's just a
Yeah,
lot of really sucky salespeople out there, and that's what really it
yeah,
came down to. Is I always hated being the guy being sold to. And it's not that I
yeah,
hate being sold to; it's that people who do the selling are usually just not great at it.
yeah. The way they are selling it to you is also not great. Yeah,
People
their
are way
approach
too
and some way.
pushy. They
Yeah,
focus too much on just, going through a pitch deck and just like
yeah,
going slide by slide. And then on top of that, there's the idea. I have this terminology of like the used car salesman, right? The guy
yeah,
trying to be super buddy buddy with you and everything, and being like, yeah, you need this thing right here right now, and oh, when are you
yeah,
gonna be purchasing from us? And they're following up too much, and gets overwhelming, right? And so I very much have, I think, structured a lot of our sales process and my own process around the idea of like not being like that. And I think that works exceptionally well. And part of the reason I'm even able to do that is because I have that operational background, right? I
yeah, yeah,
can look at the operation side and see how an agency should operate with its clients, and see what you're supposed to do to grow on Amazon, right?
yeah,
And uh, at the end of the day, if you know what you're selling and what your selling is able to do and capable of, I think it makes the sales process a lot easier. There's a age old saying, everything is that, a bad salesperson can sell a great product, but a great salesperson can sell a bad product. If you end up
yeah,
being
yeah.
a great salesperson and a great product, it sells itself. So
Yeah, yeah. Makes a lot of sense as well. So I'm gonna go a little bit back and ask you that you were self-employed in business owner, independent business owner. How was that transition for you? You know, after being a guy who is has to manage its own time and everything on its own, and now into a much bigger company and a corporate level thing. How was that transition for you?
it, not as bad as I think a lot of people would think.
Yeah.
Primarily because my goals around being someone who has always been more of a self-starter, right? At the end of the day, I just want to continuously grow. I never cared
Makes sense.
so much about the idea of that growth being of my own company. I mean, yes, I've had my own brands and everything, and gone through that. I've had my own consulting agency at one point in
Yep.
time, right? And but I've also worked for startups, and now I work for Mac,
Yep.
right? And I don't care. I'm not someone who cares so much about the idea of like, oh, I have to be the guy
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
that like owns it all, right? Like that. That seems more ego driven than anything. And anytime I ever
Yep.
see all these people who are like bouncing from company to company that they create, and
Yeah, yeah,
constantly like,
that's what I was asking. Yeah,
yeah, they
that.
float on the idea of like a CEO tag and everything and try and give advice. And it's like, it just seems very ego driven to me, right? And
Yep.
I never have wanted to approach, I never have gauged success in that capacity, nor have wanted to approach it in that way. And so, working at different companies, I tend to find myself in leadership positions. And I don't find that from an aspect of that's the only thing I would accept, but it also comes down to I want to continue growing. I want to continue, moving up the chain. I mean, for reference, I've been with my Amazon guy for a little over a year and a half. In
Yep.
just under a year, I went from being a brand director to joining the executive team, right? And I don't attribute that to the idea of it's something I required to stay there and everything, but
Yeah, yeah,
growth is something I always require, right? If you're not growing, you're dying at the end of the day, in my opinion.
yeah, yeah. Makes a lot of sense. So, Noah, can you tell me, like, being a brand owner, what's the one thing that most people are missing out there? Like most Amazon agencies are missing out there. Being a brand owner yourself, you will be able to answer it in a better way. Yeah.
I have been I have been a drop shipper. I have been a reseller, a
Yeah.
wholesaler, white labeler, private labeler, brand owner, everything. I have sold services at this point, managed other brands. the biggest thing that I see out of any agency in the space that it's two things actually. There's not just a singular, but I guess it could be one thing. One is a lack of true dedicated process.
Yep.
There are so many agencies out there, and I talk to so many brands where they've worked with other agencies,
Yep.
and a lot of the times they're like, "Yeah, it really comes down to the brand manager you end up getting, and you can go from one brand manager to another, and it's like
Yeah.
that's true to an extent, right? If you have like varying experience levels, of course you're going to have a varying area of experience,
Yeah.
but same time, if you have like standardized process and whatnot, that at the end of the day should well overcome most areas. So like that's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
number one thing I see as a fault within the agency space is just a lack of true process that everyone follows across the board. And I think a lot of that comes from the difference between, for instance, like my Amazon guy and a lot of agencies is that we usually hire people in with next to no experience and train them up from the ground up, right?
Yep.
That allows us to really fine tune and handle like the process that everyone uses, because a big issue with I have found in the past with hiring people into agencies a lot of times comes down to everyone has learned in their own way,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
it's very hard to get someone, especially in the e-commerce space, because I swear e-commerce people of every industry have this idea that they all know better. Doesn't matter who you talk to, everyone's like,
Yeah.
I know better.
Yeah.
um, and so that's the thing. It's hard to hire experience because it's hard to get experienced people in e-commerce to follow a process that works
Yeah.
because they will always think that theirs works better. So by and large, that's really the two issues I see, right? People focusing too much on hiring with experience and
Yep.
not having a built-in process, right? And those two things, in of themselves aren't necessarily detriments. It's always we hire people with experience, but they have to be able to also, standardize their process. They can't just, go Rambo and do whatever they want. But
Yep.
yeah, that's usually the largest things I see from a brand owner perspective is just people get too much variety. They want to know what they're going to get and reliably get that no matter what happens.
So Noah, in your experience, like you have worked with so many brands and you have held so many positions in e-commerce space. I'm talking specifically on the e-commerce side. What was the hardest product or hardest task that you came across?
Mm. You know what? The thing that I have personally felt hardest always, and there will be people that disagree with me on this and think it's super easy, and that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Uh, the thing I have always personally found hardest is truly realizing what product I should manufacture and sell.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people struggle knowing what to sell as a product. Um, the big issue I think a lot of people face in of that is usually that they get shy of just pulling the trigger and testing things out.
Yep.
I was never shy of pulling the trigger and testing things out, but I maybe should have been a little more shy because I mean, I've probably had 5 times as many failed products as I have had successful ones, right? And that's great, that I've had successful ones, but
Yep.
anyone that has had relative success in e-commerce, it's rare in this day and age, in my opinion, that people will be like, yeah, my first product I ever launched was an instant success. Like,
Yep.
and the people that do that are people who waited years before they launched
Yep.
it. They went through manufacturing cycles, they got patents and things like that. I was never like that. I always wanted
Yeah.
to, I'm a big speed guy. I'm a
Yeah.
big, I think the idea of waiting around to make a decision can kill a process because
Yep. Makes sense.
at the end of the day, if you can test 20 different options and have 19 failures and one success in the time that it takes somebody to plan out the entire process and
Yeah.
do one thing, it's like, why not?
Yeah. And personally, I also think that, the wait time or the process, like the corporate think the corporate ladder is what, slows down everything, and I kind of hate it as well. So, yeah. But at the same time, like, uh, there has been a lot of times where people have come to me and they were like, we want to start an Amazon, like we want to just sell on Amazon. And I'm like, have you thought this through? And I actually go all, scientific on them, like, you need to have a brand story and things like that. And they're like, no, this is not like that. Like, I did this course and they were like, just pick a product and, sell it, and, stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, you can sell it, and, there is no problem, or there is no harm in selling, products directly. But if you have not thought this through for like 5 or 10 year, if you don't have a 5 or 10 year plan, you end up actually losing money on, or wasting time. That wasting time is more like it. You might be able to make profit, but most of it's wasting time, because after your one product fails, you don't know which one, which next to go to. But as opposed to, if you have a, brand story, or if you have thought of a brand, or if you have a, blueprint of a brand, you might be able to survive it. This is how I view it. But I am open to like a debate on it. Like, how do you see it? Like, what's your thought process on launching a product on Amazon, or starting Amazon, like, when, like, the people, or like the core sellers sell it, sell this. So what's your thought process on this?
The thing that I will always say, and you touched on something there of the idea of like having a plan and like being willing to move around with that plan. Something that I always try and preach is like the 4 F's. And that would just be fail fast, fail forward, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
essentially, too many people in e-commerce are afraid to deem their product as a failure. And so then they will just waste so much time trying
Yeah,
to get a product that clearly isn't working to like do well, and they end up wasting time, they waste money, and then the product still fails anyways, right? The
yep,
biggest, like the best lesson that I ever learned was the idea of failing fast and failing forward, like identifying if something is failing very fast and then
yep,
fail forward with it, right? Use that failure as a pivotal moment to, learn and move forward. So many products, so many people, so many brands will sit there and they'll just like lower price. They'll spend more money on advertising and they'll do it for months and months and months. And it's like, dude, move on to something new because
yeah,
this clearly isn't working and you're wasting money. And the amount of people I know who have had to
yeah,
end up liquidating product for like cents on the dollar,
yeah,
um, if that, right? To try and just get rid of it at the end of it. And on top of that, they've already wasted thousands upon thousands trying to get it to move.
yep,
And it's like, you need to understand the idea that, of course, it's free market. Not every product's going to be a winner. You can't make every product a winner, and so therefore, if you're not seeing that you're winning with it, fail fast, fail forward.
yep. Yeah, yeah, makes a lot of sense as well. So yeah, because that's the way I see it. Like, I'm like, the product, if it's required by consumer, or if people are searching for it on Amazon, they are searching for a product that's associated to the brand, or they can, because the biggest, like, your customer, if you have a loyal customer base, that is going to help you so much, and that is going to make your product, tenfold stronger, if you are able to, make that. And the only reason why, so many big brands are big brands is because, they have loyal customer base. So if you are an unknown product on Amazon, that's also not useful. People just, uh, some people just, even their company name doesn't, even fit the product that they are selling. So yeah, that's a very long debate that we can have, and it's a very long discussion on it. But yeah, I would say, uh, the egoistic core sellers have made it so that, everyone can sell anything on Amazon, and you can make millions of dollars from just being from home. While that's true, it's still, it requires a major part in a course where, you have to tell them, make a brand instead of, just a product. I think,
Well,
yeah.
courses in general are one of the things. Like, so we sell courses, right? But all of our courses are educational tools,
Yeah, yeah,
nothing.
yeah. No, no, I understand. But
Oh
I'm
no, but
talking about those you get on
the guru.
Instagram where they are like, yeah,
The
guru.
gurus are always interesting to me, and it's just because the gurus are so interesting. So it's like, why are you, you know, they
Yeah,
know it's not real, and a lot of times I think it's usually people who get success in one product or another or something, and then they're saying, oh, anyone can do it. And don't get me wrong, I think anyone can be successful, even
yep,
like a reseller and whatnot. I think anyone realistically could become a reseller, and if they devote the
yep,
time and find the right products, can hit 10K a month in sales easily. Like,
yep,
it's such a low barrier of entry, honestly. Like, most people can do that within a year, and I fully believe that. But at the same time, the hard part is always going to be finding the product, right, and
yep,
getting those relationships and making it a consistent thing versus trying to do it one time. And you have to know how the buy box works. You have to know how
yeah.
Amazon works, and so a lot of that is always going to come into play.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense as well. So yeah, that's what I was thinking that, if you are able to build a good, great product, doesn't matter what platform it's on, it will sell. Uh, I remember Steven had a post around Walmart that it is not going to work. Does he still think that same way, or or has his thoughts changed?
Walmart is like 6 to 7% of all e-commerce sales, right? And that's including them doing like the in-store pickup type stuff that they added after like 2020, right?
Oh,
So Walmart itself is it's a small platform. And on
yeah, yeah,
top of that,
I understand.
they tried to compete with Amazon, and I credit them for absolutely trying, and they've done a decent job. I mean, theoretically, from a marketplace perspective, they're the second largest, right? So there is that aspect, but that
Yep.
second largest is still only 7% still of the entire
Yeah.
market. Um, and so it's very interesting because Walmart, yeah, it's never going to be more than like a tenth of your Amazon sales at the end of the day.
Yeah, yeah. That
And
is true. I have been working on Walmart, so it's less than that, but yeah, we will go with 1/10 of the sales. Yeah.
well, and that's the thing. Walmart is fantastic if as a platform, if you are a giant brand, because Walmart cares about brand names more than anything else.
Yeah.
You don't care about individual products. You don't market yourself as an individual product. You market yourself as a brand on
Yeah.
Walmart. That's what they care about. And so, yeah, Walmart's never going to be that large at the end of the day. And anyone who's like very gung ho, because I have seen that pop up lately, where there's like more and more agencies popping up that are like Walmart specific agencies. And I'm like,
Yeah.
why? you know?
Yeah, I understand. But so what's the company policy, or what's the company's thought on my Amazon guy's thought on, TikTok? Because TikTok shop was rapidly growing. After this, after January, I have not, seen anything, or but what was the in December, what were you guys thinking? And yeah.
We had some clients that we had a partner that worked TikTok shop
Hmm.
with. Seen some success, some places no success, others, right? Um, my general thoughts on TikTok shop have pretty much remained the same in the sense that I see so many posts all the time of people being like, "Oh, is TikTok Shop finally the Amazon killer? Oh, is it going to take down Amazon and take over?" And the simple answer is just no. I think there is so much hype because it's the first marketplace that has done actual volume out of any other marketplace that has come out in such a long time, since probably Walmart is probably the closest
Yep.
comparison. And with that, people kept comparing it to Amazon. It's not comparable. Like, from a market share perspective, it's just not. So for reference, in all of 2024, TikTok Shop in the US still only equaled out to about a 3% market share, which, don't get me wrong, 3% market share, That's huge. That's like doubling their entire market share
Yep.
from 2023. Fantastic. Amazon upped its market share to 41% in
Yep.
2024. So,
Yeah.
it's the type of thing where it's people are trying to compare the two, and it's like apples and oranges. On top of that, there's the aspect of TikTok's model. It was never going to be viable long term because they were doing the same model that everyone else was, which was that they were giving huge incentive discounts to customers to purchase products and have retailers, have their products at a discounted price comparatively at that of even Amazon. But then TikTok is just eating the difference in that cost. So the retailer is getting their regular retail price. The customer's getting a discount. TikTok eats the difference, right? And
Yeah. Yeah.
that's,
Makes sense.
they're not making money in that capacity. So they're just trying to gain market share and trying to capture customers. After the January thing, I mean, TikTok Shop had to have taken a nosedive, right? Because I haven't looked at much, but I mean,
Yep.
it's not even technically allowed for US companies to interact with it, right? So,
Yep.
at least for the next 90 days. And so where it's going to end up,
Yep.
I mean, I'm hesitant that it's really going to come back. I guess we'll see. And whatnot, but it never was on the horizon of me of being like I think it was great for small business. I think it really was. And I think tons of small business, because user generated content is such a
Yeah.
powerful thing in the e-commerce
Yeah.
space. But the idea of like TikTok Shop itself, I just never saw it as really being that big of a, market shifter, I guess. Built a lot of small businesses that relied on it. And I love
Yep.
that. But, I don't think that that's going to necessarily really impact impact the e-commerce realm, people, or the way people thought it was.
Yep. Makes sense. But at the same time, the way I see it was that it for at least US marketplace, it was the first successful like social e-commerce thing where you are interacting with your TikTok, and you are watching something, you are watching user generated content, and you are buying it from there, and you are commenting on it, and you have also messages there. So that kind of whole thing, because since this generation is TikTok crazy, you might have seen, and we have seen, like, there has been a clear shift from uh, like TikTok overall has impacted so much of the culture. Like, the way I'm saying it is because if you remember before 2020, the horizontal video used to be the thing, you know, if you
Mhm.
remember, like, and now it's vertical, and that's just because of TikTok. There was nothing else that caused it. It was just because people you were using their phones like this, and now even if you have to show a horizontal video, which is the correct video format, I'm from old time, so I think that's the way to watch a movie. So they have to put in that, please rotate your phone. So yeah, that kind of thing. So it has, I would say it has influenced a lot of culture. I think that would be a right term. I think I'm not so sure, but yeah, it has, TikTok overall has. But when we come to TikTok Shop, now it was pretty easy to use, and it was pretty good. But at the same time, 41% versus 3%, that was never going to compare, especially when Amazon is so fast. In 2024, they have launched so many updates. Like, it at one point, I was so tired that I was like, okay, I'm not gonna look at it, I'm just gonna go do things my way, because that doesn't even make sense. Like, a yeah, you know how many updates they rolled out. It was, yeah.
No, and it's so funny because uh, I still complain in this day and age about like Amazon's lack of updates, even though is their updates are so,
Yeah.
they have a
Yeah.
plethora of them now. But the only reason is because you go
The,
back 10 years ago, and
yeah.
it's like it would be an update once every like 5
Yeah.
months. And it would be like,
Yeah.
hey, we're changing the number of bullets you can have. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, fantastic. That's what everyone
Yeah.
asked for, not a UI change or anything to
Yeah.
make it so
Yeah, that's right.
variations work. So it is funny. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's not a comparison, right? And especially with everything that's happened. I think that it's not going to still, even if TikTok comes back, I don't think it's going to make that big of an impact. Do I think that definitely is taking some form of market share? Sure. But at the end of the day, for reference, like TikTok and Amazon paired up last year, right? Where TikTok made it so that you could buy with Prime
Yeah,
on
yeah,
the
yeah.
TikTok
That
app.
one.
If TikTok really thought that it had a chance of beating Amazon in any way, shape, or form, they would never do that in a
Yep.
million years. But the only reason
Yep.
they do is because they know they can't. And so therefore, if you can't beat them, join them, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so it wouldn't surprise me if the goal at the end of the day was to try and, partner with Amazon in some capacity long term, and like make it so that people could because like for instance, Amazon has the Inspire program, right, with their like influencers and everything, and Amazon influencers, and you can do career connections, all that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that was
Creative
probably the
connection.
long-term vision of a potential partnership between TikTok and Amazon, is the idea of like having a direct way of creating or doing
That
UGC.
would have been a game changer, to be very
Oh
honest.
God, I would love that.
Yeah,
If the day that gets announced,
yeah,
that's like the pinnacle
yeah,
game changer of,
yeah,
hey, we're now offering direct UGC connections through TikTok plus, or through the TikTok creator connections,
yeah,
plus, you can have your products listed on TikTok to be purchased via Amazon. Like that type of synergy
yeah,
would make TikTok and Amazon the ultimate e-commerce powerhouse that would
yep,
take up all of the market share immediately.
yep, yeah, yeah. Oh, so know what? Do tell me, like, what are the updates that you want from Amazon in 2025?
Oh, how long do we have? I think the biggest updates that I'm really looking for from Amazon in 2025, they usually always come down to like twofold. I mean, I could always come out and say, the very basic thing of, hey, I'd like to have some fees reduced. Hey,
Yeah, oh yeah,
I'd love for seller support to actually be useful, right? Which of course we always want those things. Like that's always going to be the case. Everyone is always going to want seller support to be useful. Everyone wants reduced fees. In Without mentioning those, right, as like the case, I also use those as standards. But my biggest thing actually comes down to twofold. One, I would love if Amazon had a new form of updated reporting across the board. So they released their new reporting dashboard last year and everything, but all it really did was take a bunch of different areas of Amazon reporting
yeah,
already,
yeah,
kind of mash it all
and yeah,
together. I want actual reports. I want to be able to see things like my click-through rate from both an organic and ad
yeah,
perspective in one small section, and be able to
yeah,
compare the two. And I want to be
yeah,
able to compare it over a 30-day, a 90-day, a 180. I want to
yeah,
be able to see granular stuff. So if there is one thing that I could get from Amazon at any point in time, it's just updated reporting with what actually matters for making optimizations within Amazon, in the modern day, right?
yep,
Secondarily, that a big thing I would love to see Amazon do is I would love to see them do an update in how they do their entire UI management for inventory. So
yeah, yeah, yeah,
what I really mean is, I think we're still pretty archaic in the way Amazon does all of their inventory management. Obviously, like the inventory actual manager, like the products manager, that got an update last year. Fantastic. Love that.
yep,
I want an update from our logistics UI perspective, right, for inventory. I want to be able to get better forecasting data. I want to be able
yeah,
to get an easier time of creating shipments. I want to get more detail as to what is going on with the shipment. It's like, oh, cool, you're telling me that you're going to offer us better reimbursements now towards cost of
yeah,
goods for lost products. Cool. How do I know that you're actually
yeah,
checking every unit that you say you are, and you're not just
yeah,
spitballing that's 225 instead of 230,
yeah,
right? Like, um, I want much more granular there. I think it would help a lot with the logistics side of things immensely. So those are, outside seller support, outside of, fee reduction, those are like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
two major areas that I would love to see some stuff. Also, I love that they add the retail ads in Amazon advertising and whatnot this
yeah,
year.
yeah.
I would love to be able to see that like granular data in
Yep.
advertising. I am the day that they release sponsored ads and you can target sponsored ads towards specific customer segmentation, like you
Yeah.
can for like a display ad. Oh, that'll be the pinnacle for me.
Yep.
I would love that if we get that granular with our advertising.
Yeah, that would actually make life a lot easier, especially the supply chain one, the logistics one. That is still so outdated, like and also very complicated. Like it is getting complicated day by day. And now I think anyone, if you are going to hire anyone, just hire a supply chain manager. Forget advertising, because they are losing so much inventory and so many things that you end up, it costs you a lot in long term as well. So, Noah, since we are on break of time here, uh, since being the sales director, what are three advices that you would give to salespeople?
Ooh, to salespeople?
Yeah,
Normally I get to the brands rather than the sales, but I'll take the sales. Um, First advice always, speak to pain. Your conversations, your first conversation with any form of prospect, which whatsoever, should be based around the area of ask as many questions as possible. Just continuously ask questions to get them to reveal their pain, talk about that pain, and have that pain be your driving force. Figure out what it
yep,
is that is causing that pain, and make sure that you can always speak to it at the end of the day. Secondarily, like I said, discovery. Discovery is your best friend. Let prospects do the talking. Like I said, I hate people who pitch me. I
yeah,
hate sitting through a pitch. I don't care about your pitch, right? Like I want to
yeah,
know, I want to talk about my issue and have you actually think about it and not just feel like I'm another meeting on the books for you, right?
yep,
Um, Especially in the Amazon space. Agencies are awful at doing that, where they're just like, yeah, let me just go through everything. I even get angry at our salespeople if they start
yep,
doing it too much, right? And so, and then finally, the last thing is follow up frequently. I actually I made a post earlier today about follow up, but yeah, follow up frequently, because there's nothing that will kill deals faster than just time. You know,
yep. Makes sense. That makes a lot of sense as well. I have lost a lot of deals due to time, so yeah, I understand it. Yeah,
always comes down to time at the end of the day. Yeah, no,
yeah,
that's fun. I haven't gotten to give sales advice
yeah.
as of yet. Most people are still always asking me about the brand advice, so
Yeah.
glad I could finally do some of that as well.
Yeah. Noah, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Really, really enjoyed the time. Hopefully, we can sit down again in the future and talk more about Amazon. And hopefully, in 2025, if everything goes well, the sales support team of Amazon will get better.
One can only hope. One can only hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was good conversation. Always happy to be on here.
Awesome. Take care. Bye.